All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. And at this time, we have reached the finish line, at least for the regular season in the National Football League. A doubleheader tomorrow. Both games will crown a division champion, while we've got 14 good games on tap for Sunday. And for those who think, well, some of these games are meaningless, guess what? Some of these teams still have a lot to play for because home field advantage still has not been decided in the AFC. The same thing can be said about the NFC. It's all about certain matchups as far as who like seeding for the wild card, seeding for the division winners. So there is a lot that is still to be determined. We know that 16 teams still have an opportunity for those 14 seats at the postseason table, but nonetheless, with that said, here are my picks for week number 18 in this NFL season. Now, the NFC South championship game will take place tomorrow afternoon as we've got the 8-8 Carolina Panthers traveling to take on the 7-9 Tampa Bay Buccaneers. One of these teams is going to win this division. They've both been trying to give it away basically for the second half of the season. Remember, once upon a time, the Bucks were 6-2. Now they are 7-9. These two teams met a couple of weeks ago in Charlotte. It was a back and forth affair that was won by Carolina. Carolina had a chance to close this thing out last Sunday. They didn't. Tampa Bay had an opportunity to stay around last Sunday with a win. They didn't either, but nonetheless, the winner of this game is going to win this division. Now the Bucks are favored by 3 points at home, and I think what Tampa needs to do, they need to start fast. There needs to be more emotion from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. There needs to be energy. You look at it, the Bucks, to me, in my opinion, are the more talented and experienced team, but talent and experience alone does not get it done. It comes down to execution. Baker Mayfield has to take care of the football. The Bucks have to go out there and run the football effectively, and they have to slow down this Carolina run game with Rico Dowdell, which is going to be easier said than done. The Bucks had an opportunity 2 weeks ago to send a message, and they didn't. They gave this young Carolina team confidence, and I think Dave Canales and his bunch have what it takes to go on the road and win this division. And I'm going to give the Panthers the 27-23 nod. Now, the NFC West championship game, we're sounding a lot like college right now, but nonetheless, we've got the 13-3 Seattle Seahawks traveling to Santa Clara to take on the 12-4 San Francisco 49ers. And for both of these teams, they have their sights set on this game in more ways than one. Home field advantage for the NFC side is in play. And of course, if you're Seattle, you want to be back at this stadium a month from now for Super Bowl number 60. And of course, if you're San Francisco, a win ensures that, you know what, as long as you're playing football for the rest of the season, you don't have to go on the road. Okay, so there's plenty in play. Go back to week number one. Both of these teams met in the Pacific Northwest, and it was the 49ers who eked things out. Both of these teams look a lot different from week number one. Make no mistake about it. The 49ers are banged up as they are truly the walking wounded. But you know what? Credit to Niners head coach Kyle Shanahan and his coaching staff for going out there and consistently giving this team an opportunity to win each week. The Niners don't have the skilled people defensively, but they have the will people, if that makes sense. And they can still create havoc. And that's going to be important with their pass rush because I look at Sam Darnold as of late in his last couple of games. He's been very shaky with that football. Can the Niners force Darnold into making some mistakes? I look at this game, though, the battle of the run games. You know, with Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet, with what they can do for Seattle. And then, of course, what can you say about the total package, Christian McCaffrey, and what he means to this Niners offense, period? Okay. You got him. George Kittle's going to be out there looking like he's playing banged up, and then of course Brock Purdy. For me, it's one of those. Seattle is favored by 2.5 points on the road in this one. I think this is going to be a phenomenal game. Last team with the football wins. I'm going to give the edge to San Francisco, and I'm going to take the Niners at home, 27-24. Now, moving on to Sunday, we've got the 6-10 New Orleans Saints traveling to take on the 7-9 Atlanta Falcons, and one of the age-old rivalries in the National Football League is there's no love lost between the Saints and Falcons. Of course, both of these teams are going to miss the postseason. Both of them want to finish on a positive note, and if you're New Orleans, some people accuse the Saints of possibly tanking coming into the season. They have played hard all season long for first-year head coach Kellen Moore, and after a disappointing start, Atlanta has really put it together, and they want to finish on a positive note as well. I see two teams right here. They're going to throw caution to the wind. Two teams that are going to leave it all out there trying to pick up a dub to finish out the season. Atlanta's favored by 3.5 at home. I like them by a field goal, 23-20. Now we've got the 4-12 Cleveland Browns traveling to take on the 6-10 Cincinnati Bengals. Both of these teams met in week number 1 to begin this season, and it was Cincinnati that eked out a road win over their in-state rivals. Of course, if you're the Bengals, you got to wonder what could have been for the season. Of course, the injury to Joe Burrow really changed the outlook for the Bengals. Cincinnati's playing some very good football, and of course, unfortunately for their sake, it's not going to be enough for them to get to the postseason. But nonetheless, I like the Bengals in this one, 24-16. Now we've got the 9-6-1 Green Bay Packers traveling to take on the 8-8 Minnesota Vikings, and the Vikings are looking to finish on a positive note. No postseason for them, and they want to take advantage of the Packers resting some guys. Of course, Green Bay is locked in to that last wild card spot in the NFC. You've got a banged up quarterback in Jordan Love, which means, you know what? The Packers want to get him healthy and ready and fresh for next week. And I think the Vikings take advantage of that, and they finish strong with the 20-17 win. Now at MetLife Stadium, we've got the 7-8-1 Dallas Cowboys traveling to take on the 3-13 New York Football Giants. And of course, Dallas is in that rare position because in this 17-game schedule for the regular season, they're the only team in the NFL that can say, you know what, we have the opportunity to not finish with a winning or losing record should they go out there and take care of their business against the Giants. One thing we know about the Dallas Cowboys with Dak Prescott at starting quarterback, very rarely does he lose to the New York Giants, and I think that trend continues on Sunday as I'm going to take Dallas 27-17. So we've got the 3-13 Tennessee Titans traveling to take on the 12-4 Jacksonville Jaguars, and Jacksonville is still looking to clinch the AFC South because Houston is nipping at their heels. On top of that, Jacksonville still has an opportunity to finish with home field advantage throughout the AFC. I talked about it a couple of weeks ago, the maturation of quarterback Trevor Lawrence and what he has developed into under first-year head coach Liam Cohen. The Titans are going to be game. The Titans are going to give you everything that they have, but they're a 13.5-point underdog on the road, and I think Jacksonville takes care of their business with the 34-20 win. Now, the team that is nipping at the heels of the Jags in the AFC South is the Houston Texans. They come into this weekend with a record of 11-5. Like I said, they still have an outside shot to win this division as they host the 8-8 Indianapolis Colts. But the bottom line is whether the Texans win the AFC South or whether they have to settle for going into the playoffs as a wild card, I don't think anybody wants to play this team right now. You look at the way that they are playing defense, and you look at what C.J. Stroud is doing at quarterback right now. I don't think DeMeco Ryans has gotten enough credit for this team this season. Of course, what a difference that about 6 weeks or so has made for the Indianapolis Colts. They looked like they were going to be a shoo-in for the postseason, and a loss on Sunday for the Colts would mean another losing season. And I think that's going to be the case, as I like the Texans to take care of their business at home, 27-17. Now, it's the end of an era, as whether you want to call it Rich Stadium, Ralph Wilson Stadium, or Highmark Stadium. Nonetheless, this is the Bills' final game at the home that they have known now for more than 50 years. Buffalo comes in with a record of 11-5, and I think it's fitting that the Bills close out this stadium against an old AFL rival in the New York Jets. For Buffalo, you want to go into the postseason on a positive note. They lost a heartbreaker at home last Sunday to the Philadelphia Eagles, which meant that their chance of winning the AFC East went out the window as well. So now the Bills are going to be going into the postseason as a wild card. But nonetheless, like I said before, you want to finish the regular season on a positive note and go into the postseason with some momentum. The Bills come into this game favored by 7.5 points over the Jets. I think they put the Jets out of their misery early. I like Buffalo 31-13. Now at Soldier Field, we've got the 11-5 Chicago Bears hosting the 8-8 Detroit Lions. And for Chicago, what a difference that this season has made under first-year head coach Ben Johnson. You've got the Bears who have won the AFC North, and they are looking to lock up, the number 2 seed in the NFC. Earlier this season, when the Lions, prior to all of the injuries, when they were expected to once again win the NFC North, they destroyed this Bears team at Ford Field. A lot has changed for both of these teams since then. I'm not going to say that the Bears are going to return the favor, but the way that they're playing right now and the way that the Lions are playing right now, this is clearly the Bears' game to lose. I don't think it's a blowout. The Lions will show some pride, but I still like Chicago 34-24. So we've got the 13-3 Denver Broncos hosting the 11-5 Los Angeles Chargers. And the Broncos got a gift because we saw the Chargers lose at home last week into the Houston Texans, which clinched the AFC West for the Broncos, as this could have been a championship game right here. Nonetheless, the Chargers have really conceded because they're going to sit down their alien quarterback, Justin Herbert, and focus on the postseason. So now if you're Denver, you've got an opportunity to go out there with Trey Lance at quarterback for the Chargers, which is not going to be easy. Okay, Jim Harbaugh is going to have him ready to play. But nonetheless, you're a big-time favorite at home, 12.5 points, and you want to try to sew up things and get home field advantage through the postseason. The Chargers beat Denver earlier this season. Matter of fact, the Chargers have not lost a game in the AFC West all season long. But with Justin Herbert not playing in this one, I think that one changes. And I'm going to take Denver at home by the score of 30-20. Now, the other two teams that call the AFC West home, you got the 6-10 Kansas City Chiefs traveling to Vegas to take on the 2-14 Raiders. The Chiefs come in favored by 5.5 points. And of course, one of the biggest questions heading into this game is whether or not this is going to be the final game of the soon-to-be Hall of Fame career of Chiefs tight end Travis Kelce. Of course, the second half of the season, the entire season really has not been pretty for Kansas City. But what's the best elixir when you want to go out there and get yourself a dub? You take on the Raiders. Like I said, the Chiefs are favored by 5.5 points at home. Or on the road, but I like them by 11, 24-13. Now we've got the 3-13 Arizona Cardinals set to travel to Inglewood to take on the 11-5 Los Angeles Rams. The Rams are not going to win this division, but Sean McVay said, "Hey, you know what? I want my guys out there playing." Why? Because the Rams have lost their last couple of games, and if you're Sean McVay and you want this team to go where they're expected to go or where you expect them to go, you want to have some momentum heading into the postseason. For the Cardinals, another bad season that cannot end quick enough. They're 8.5 point underdogs on the road. I think the Rams double them up in this game, 34-17. So we've got the 7-9 Miami Dolphins traveling to Foxborough to take on the 13-3 New England Patriots. New England is part of that triangle that still has an opportunity to have home field advantage throughout the AFC playoffs. What can you say about the job that Mike Vrabel has done in his first year as Patriots head coach? Foxborough is going to be buzzing for this one. The Patriots are favored by 11.5. I like them by 2 touchdowns in this one, 34-20. We've got the 11-5 Philadelphia Eagles set to host the 4-12 Washington Commanders in a battle of the backup quarterbacks. Tanner McKee for Philadelphia and Josh Johnson, as no Marcus Mariota is available for this one. We saw these two teams meet a couple of weeks ago, and Philly got the win. And of course, there's no love lost between these longtime division rivals. The bottom line is the Eagles are going to be resting some guys. They're still favored by 4.5, and I like their backups going up against Josh Johnson and this Commanders team. Thus, I'm going to say the Eagles 27, Washington 20. And finally, on Sunday night, a winner-take-all game in the AFC North, as we've got the Baltimore Ravens with a record of 8-8 traveling to take on the 9-7 Pittsburgh Steelers. Pittsburgh failed to close out Cleveland last week, which would have sewn up this division, but nonetheless, Pittsburgh has failed to sew up this division all season long. Remember, Lamar Jackson has been banged up for a chunk of this season for the Ravens. He's expected to be back, and he's expected to start in this game. Through injuries and suspensions, the Steelers' receiving core has been depleted. Okay, they're getting TJ Watt back, which is going to be important for this defense. And you got to wonder, one way or the other, this could be the last game for John Harbaugh as the head coach of the Ravens if they lose. It also could be the last game for Mike Tomlin with the Steelers if they lose. One of these eras might be coming to an end in this game right here. Also, we cannot overstate the fact or understate the fact that, hey, this could be for Aaron Rodgers, a quarterback as well. We don't know. We saw these two teams meet a couple of weeks ago. The Steelers won an ugly game in Baltimore. And typically, when it's Ravens Steelers, would you want it any other way? They always play physical. They always play ugly. They leave it all out there. But I think the bottom line is going to come down to this. Which team scores touchdowns when they get in the red zone, and which team turns the football over? That's what it's going to come down to. Baltimore is favored by 4.5 points on the road. I like them by 6 in this one. I truly do think the first team to 20 wins this one. I'm going to give the Ravens the edge, 23-17. So, folks, those are my picks for week number 18 in this NFL season. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank each and every one of you for checking out the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. And as always, if you like what you heard and saw in this podcast, you know what to do. Just hit that like button as well as subscribing to this channel. And like I always say, it's greatly appreciated. Also, if you are on the X, formerly known as Twitter, you can check me out anytime at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you give me that follow, it will be my pleasure to do the same in return. Also, if you are on Facebook, definitely check out the Sports Depot 365. And as far as I'm concerned, one of the better sports groups going on social media. But until next time, fine folks, my name is William Martin. I'm signing off, and I'm saying thanks once again for checking out the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. Be well, everybody.